"Can I fix your fence in exchange for food?" asked the homeless boy to the wealthy farmer. Robert William Johnson had never seen a child so young asking for work on his property. The boy appeared to be only 7 years old, his clothes torn and dirty, but he held an old hammer with the confidence of someone who already knew the trade. It was when the boy approached the broken fence at the entrance of the farm that Robert noticed something different. The boy wasn't just begging, he was actually examining the loose nails and cracked boards with the technical eye of an experienced carpenter. "Mister, can I fix your fence in exchange for a plate of food?" asked the boy, his voice shaky but determined. Robert stopped adjusting his hat and looked down. The child was too thin, his large eyes revealing days without a decent meal. But there was something more, a refinement in his speech that contrasted with his ragged appearance. "You know how to work with wood, kid?" "Yes, sir. My grandfather taught me when I was little. I can show you if you let me." The farmer hesitated. His property in Lancaster, in rural Pennsylvania, was one of the most prosperous in the area. He wasn't one to give handouts, much less hire children. But the fence really needed repairs and his curiosity was piqued. "All right, but if you mess anything up, you leave with nothing." "Don't worry, mister. I'll do a good job." The boy walked to the fence with steady steps. Robert watched as he inspected each board, tested the sturdiness of the posts and checked the condition of the nails. It was impressive how such a young child showed so much knowledge. "What's your name, boy?" "Michael, sir. Michael Wilson." "And where are your parents, Michael?" The boy paused for a moment, his small hands tightening around the hammer's handle. "My grandfather passed away about 2 months ago. My mother, she left when I was really little. It's just me and my little sister now." "And where is your sister?" "Some relatives took her. They said they'd take good care of her, but they didn't want me." Robert felt a pang in his chest. He knew that story well. In rural areas, it was common for relatives to take only the children they considered more useful or less troublesome. Michael got to work. His movements were precise, each hammer strike accurate. Robert called Mrs. Margaret, his housekeeper of over 20 years, to watch. "Mrs. Margaret, look at this. I've never seen a child work like this." The 62-year-old woman approached, drying her hands on her apron. Her grey hair was tied in a bun, and her kind eyes filled with concern as she looked at Michael. "That boy reminds me of someone, Mr. Robert. I swear I've seen him around before. Must be from town. These street kids wander everywhere." "No, it's not that. There's something different about him." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. The sun was strong that October morning. Michael had been working for 2 hours without stopping, his small hands already showing signs of fatigue, but he didn't complain. Robert approached with a glass of water. "Drink this, boy. The sun's too hot." "Thank you, mister." Michael drank the water slowly, as if it were a precious gift. Robert noticed his hands, though small, had calluses from hard labor. "Michael, where did you learn to work like this? Was your grandfather a carpenter?" "Yes, sir. He used to say honest work dignifies a man. He taught me it doesn't matter if you're poor. What matters is doing everything with care." The boy's words struck Robert unexpectedly. He himself had built his fortune through hard work, starting with a small cornfield he'd inherited from his father. "Your grandfather was a wise man." "He sure was. He always said you reap what you sow. If you sow meanness, you'll harvest sadness. If you sow kindness, you'll harvest joy." Robert watched Michael go back to work. The boy hummed softly as he hammered, a simple melody, but one that brought peace to whoever heard it. It was a song Robert knew from his own childhood, something his grandmother used to sing. Mrs. Margaret appeared on the porch with a plate of food. "Mr. Robert, lunch is ready, and I brought a plate for the boy too." "Thank you, Mrs. Margaret. Michael, come eat." The boy dropped the hammer immediately and ran to the porch. When he saw the plate full of rice, beans, meat, and salad, his eyes filled with tears. "Thank you so much, ma'am. It's been a long time since I've seen so much food." "Eat slowly, son. No need to rush." Robert sat beside Michael at the porch table. It felt strange sharing a meal with a child he didn't know, but there was something about the boy that put him at ease. "Michael, how long has it been since you had a full meal?" "About 3 days, sir. Sometimes I'd get leftovers at the diner in town, but not always." "And where have you been sleeping?" "At the bus station, sir, or sometimes under the bridge. Depends on whether the guards let me." Michael's words were spoken so casually, as if this situation were normal for him. Robert felt a lump in his throat. How could a child so young endure so much hardship? "Did your grandfather take good care of you?" "Yes, he did. We lived in a little house, but we had food every day. He worked at Mr. George's farm on the other side of town." Mrs. Margaret nearly dropped the glass she was washing. "Mr. Robert, Mr. George's farm was auctioned off 3 months ago. Remember, you even went to see if it was worth buying." Robert stopped chewing. A strange memory began forming in his mind. "Michael, what was your grandfather's full name?" "George Wilson, sir. People called him Flower George because he planted lots of flowers around the house." The porch fell completely silent. Robert and Mrs. Margaret exchanged shocked glances. The farm Robert had bought at auction 3 months ago was exactly the property that had belonged to Michael's grandfather. "Son, you said you left the farm when?" "Right after Grandpa passed, sir. Some men in suits came and said we had to leave because the farm was being sold. Grandpa was really shaken by it." Robert felt as if he'd been punched in the gut. He'd bought that property knowing it was a good investment, but he'd never asked if a family was living there. "Michael, exactly when did your grandfather get sick?" "After the men came about the auction, sir. He got real worried, said he didn't know where we'd live. Then his heart started giving him trouble." Mrs. Margaret sank heavily into the chair beside them. "Good Lord, Mr. Robert, this boy and his little sister were thrown out of their own home." "It wasn't like that, Mrs. Margaret," Michael corrected gently. "The men explained Grandpa owed money to the bank, so the farm had to be sold. Grandpa cried a lot that day." Robert couldn't eat anymore. The food felt like a stone in his mouth. He'd indirectly contributed to this child's suffering. "Michael, do you know who bought your grandfather's farm?" "No, sir. Just that it was someone with a lot of money." The weight of guilt crushed Robert. He needed to tell Michael the truth, but didn't know how without destroying the trust the boy had placed in him. "Finish your meal, Michael. We'll talk more after." The boy finished eating and went back to working on the fence. Robert stayed on the porch watching, his mind racing with conflicting thoughts. Mrs. Margaret stepped closer. "Mr. Robert, you have to tell him." "How am I supposed to say this, Mrs. Margaret? The boy will hate me." "Maybe not. That child has a very pure heart, and you didn't know you had family living there. But I should have asked. I should have made sure. What's done is done. Now what matters is what you'll do from here on out." Robert spent the whole afternoon watching Michael work. The boy was truly talented. Every repair he did was perfect. But what impressed him most was his dedication. Even when hungry and tired, he never let the quality of his work slip. By late afternoon, a storm began brewing on the horizon. Dark clouds rolled in quickly, bringing strong winds that threatened to ruin the day's work. "Michael, come inside. It's about to rain." "Just a little longer, sir. I need to finish this part or the rain will ruin everything." The wind picked up and the first drops began to fall. Robert saw Michael standing in front of the fence, shielding his work with his own body. "Boy, drop that and come here." "I can't, sir. If it gets wet, it'll be ruined and you won't pay me." The rain started pouring down. Robert couldn't take it anymore and ran to Michael, scooping him up and carrying him inside. "Are you crazy, boy? You could have been struck by lightning." Michael was trembling, his soaked clothes clinging to his thin frame. "I'm sorry, sir, but I promised I'd do a good job." Mrs. Margaret brought dry towels and clothes from when Robert was a child. "Go take a hot shower, Michael. These clothes should fit you." While Michael showered, Robert and Mrs. Margaret talked in the kitchen. "Mrs. Margaret, I need to do something for that boy." "You already are, Mr. Robert. You gave him food and shelter." "It's not enough. I'm indirectly responsible for his suffering." "Then do more. But first you need to tell him the truth." Michael came back from the shower wearing the clean clothes. He looked like a completely different child. His brown hair, now clean, shone in the lamplight. His big, expressive eyes showed an intelligence that was striking. "Thank you so much for the clothes, sir. I'll wash and return them tomorrow." "No need to return them, Michael. You can keep them." "Really? Wow, thank you so much." The boy's genuine joy over a simple gift of used clothes broke Robert's heart. How could a child who had lost everything still be so grateful for small kindnesses? "Michael, can I ask you some questions about your grandfather?" "Sure, sir." "Was he always a farmer?" "Always, sir. Grandpa said his family had lived on that land for over 50 years. His grandfather started the farm." Robert swallowed hard. The situation was even worse than he'd thought. "And how did your grandfather lose the farm?" Michael thought for a moment. "Grandpa never liked talking about it, but once I heard him talking to Grandma before she passed. It sounded like Grandpa's father, my great-grandfather, made some bad deals and lost a lot of money." "What kind of deals?" "I'm not sure, sir, but I heard about someone who didn't pay what they owed my great-grandfather, so he had to borrow money from the bank and couldn't pay it back." The story was getting more complicated. Robert began to suspect there were more layers to this than he'd imagined. "Michael, do you remember the name of the person who didn't pay your great-grandfather?" "Not exactly, sir. It was a strange name, Johnson something." Robert's blood ran cold. His own last name was Johnson. Was it a terrible coincidence, or was there a deeper connection between the two families? "Michael, do you remember anything else about this story?" "I remember Grandpa got really sad when he talked about his father. He said he was a very good man who trusted people too much." That night, Michael slept in the guest room of the house. Robert stayed up late, his mind unable to rest. He needed to uncover the truth about the history of the two families. The next morning, Robert woke up early and went to town to search for old records at the courthouse. What he discovered left him even more unsettled. In the archives, he found records of a business partnership between George Wilson, Michael's great-grandfather, and William Johnson, Robert's own grandfather. The partnership had been dissolved under contentious circumstances in the 1960s. Apparently, William Johnson had embezzled funds from the partnership, leaving George Wilson with enormous debts that forced him to mortgage the farm. Robert returned home with a heavy heart. His family had destroyed Michael's family decades ago, and now he had delivered the final blow by buying the property at the auction. Michael was finishing the work on the fence when Robert arrived. The boy smiled when he saw him. "Good morning, sir. I've almost finished everything. Just a small part left over there." "Michael, I need to talk to you about something important." "Of course, sir. Did I do something wrong?" "No, you didn't do anything wrong, but I found out some things about my family and yours." Robert told Michael the whole story. He spoke about the documents he had found, about the partnership between their great-grandfathers, about buying the farm at the auction. He expected shouting, tears, hatred. Instead, Michael just listened quietly, nodding his head from time to time. "Sir, are you saying our families were friends a long time ago?" "They were, Michael. But my grandfather did something very wrong to your great-grandfather, and you're sad about that." "Very sad, Michael, and very ashamed too." Michael stayed quiet for a few minutes, looking at the fence he had fixed. "My grandpa always said other people's mistakes aren't our fault. You didn't do anything wrong to me." "But I bought your house, Michael. You and your sister had to leave because of me. Did you know we lived there?" "No, I didn't." "Then it wasn't your fault. You're not like your grandfather." The wisdom of that 7-year-old boy was heartbreaking. Robert knelt in front of Michael, meeting his eyes. "Michael, I want to do what's right. I want to help you and your sister." "How can you help?" "First, I'll find out where your sister is and bring her back to you." Michael's eyes lit up for the first time since Robert had met him. "Really, sir? You can bring Emmy back?" "I'll do everything I can, Michael." "What's the name of the relatives who took her?" "The Taylor family. They live in Pittsburgh. They said they'd take good care of her." Robert knew it wouldn't be easy, but he was determined to reunite the siblings. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. In the following days, Robert began his investigation into the Taylor family. What he discovered made him even more determined to act quickly. Through contacts in town, he learned that the Taylor family had a reputation for adopting orphaned children to use them as free labor. Several complaints had already been filed, but nothing could ever be proven. "Mrs. Margaret, I need to go to Pittsburgh. Can you take care of Michael while I'm away?" "Of course, Mr. Robert, but take the boy with you. He might help find his sister. It's too dangerous. If this family is really what I suspect, they might harm Michael too. Mr. Robert, that boy has already suffered so much. He deserves to know what's happening." Robert decided to tell Michael about the trip. The boy insisted so much on going along that he ended up convincing the farmer. The trip to Pittsburgh took 3 hours. During the trip, Michael shared more details about his sister Emily. "Emmy is 5 years old, sir. She's very tiny and scared of strangers. After Grandpa passed away, she was really shaken up." "Do you remember what she looks like?" "She has very light hair, almost blonde, and these beautiful blue eyes. Everyone always said she looked like an angel." "And when the Taylors took her, did they say anything specific?" "They said they'd put her in a good school and that she'd have a better life than with me, that I was too young to take care of her." Robert noticed the pain in Michael's voice. The boy blamed himself for not being able to protect his sister. "Michael, none of this was your fault. You were just a kid yourself. But I promised Grandpa I'd take care of Emmy. He made me promise. And you will take care of her. We'll bring her back." They arrived in Pittsburgh by early afternoon. Robert had gotten the Taylor family's address through his contacts. It was a big house in a middle-class neighborhood with tall gates and a well-kept appearance. "Stay in the car, Michael. Let me talk to them first." "No, sir, I want to see Emmy. If she's being treated well, you can talk to her. If not, it could be dangerous for both of you." Robert rang the doorbell. A middle-aged woman answered, looking suspicious. "Good afternoon, I'm looking for Mrs. Taylor." "That's me, what do you want?" "I came to talk about Emily Wilson, the girl you're taking care of." The woman's expression changed immediately, turning defensive. "Emily is well cared for here, we have nothing to discuss. I'm a friend of the Wilson family. Her brother is with me and would like to visit her." "Her brother? That good-for-nothing boy? Absolutely not. Emily is better off without him." The hostility in the woman's voice confirmed Robert's suspicions. "Mrs. Taylor, may I come in so we can talk properly?" "No, you may not. Emily doesn't want to see anyone from her old family. She's happy here." At that moment, Robert heard a child's voice from inside the house. "Aunt Susan, can I stop cleaning now? My hands hurt." It was a fragile voice, too young for such words. Robert felt his blood boil. "Is that Emily Wilson? She's our adopted daughter now. And she has responsibilities like any other child in this house." "She's 5 years old, Mrs. Taylor. What kind of responsibilities?" "That's none of your business. Please leave my property." Robert returned to the car with his heart racing. Michael immediately noticed his expression. "What happened, sir? Is Emmy okay?" "She's there, Michael, but she's not being treated well." "What are they doing to her?" Robert hesitated to tell the truth, but knew Michael deserved to know. "It seems they're making her work as a maid." Michael's eyes filled with angry tears. "I'm going in there to get my sister." "Calm down, Michael. We can't just storm the house. It has to be done the right way." "But Emmy's suffering. She's too little to work." Robert hugged Michael, feeling the boy's pain as if it were his own. "We'll fix this, Michael, but it has to be done properly." They returned to a hotel downtown. Robert spent the whole night making calls, looking for lawyers, contacting the right authorities. The next morning, they returned to the Taylor house accompanied by a social worker and a court officer. This time, the Taylor family couldn't stop them from entering. During the inspection, they found Emily working in the laundry room, her small hands bruised from scrubbing clothes. When the girl saw Michael, she ran into his arms, crying, "Michael, I knew you'd come for me. I knew it. Emmy, my little sister. I'm sorry it took so long." The scene was heartbreaking. The two siblings hugged as if they never wanted to let go. Emily told the social worker about the conditions she lived in. She woke up at 5 in the morning to clean, did laundry in the afternoon, and at night still had to help in the kitchen. She rarely got enough food and had never been enrolled in any school. The Taylor family was fined for child labor and exploitation. Emily was officially placed in Robert's care, who became the temporary legal guardian for both children. During the trip back to Lancaster, Emily wouldn't stop talking to Michael. It was amazing how her brother's presence made her happier and more confident. "Michael, are you really living on a real farm?" "Yes, Emmy. And Mr. Robert is really kind. He said you can stay there too." Emily looked at Robert through the rearview mirror. "Thank you for taking care of my brother, Mr. Robert." "No need to thank me, Emily. Now, I'll take care of both of you." When they arrived at the farm, Mrs. Margaret had already prepared a room for Emily, with a small bed and some toys she had bought in town. "What a beautiful room. Is it really mine?" "It's yours, sweetheart. And look, I bought these toys for you." Emily had never had her own toys before. She was enchanted by a cloth doll and a set of building blocks. That night at dinner, Robert watched the two siblings talking and laughing together. It was incredible how each other's presence turned them into happier, more hopeful children. "Michael, Emily, I need to talk to you about the future." The two children stopped eating and paid attention. "Would you like to stay living here on the farm? Forever?" Emily asked, her eyes shining. "If you want to, yes." Michael and Emily exchanged glances and smiled. "Can we stay together?" Michael asked. "Of course you can. You'll never be separated again." "Then we want to stay, Mr. Robert," Emily said. "It's so much better here than at the tailor's house." Robert felt a deep emotion fill his chest. For the first time in a long while, his big, lonely house was full of life and joy. In the following weeks, life on the farm changed completely. Michael kept helping with small repairs, always supervised by Robert, who didn't want the boy to overwork. Emily, in turn, won everyone over with her sweetness and intelligence. Mrs. Margaret grew especially fond of the girl, teaching her to cook simple dishes and telling bedtime stories. Robert enrolled both children in the town's school. At first they struggled because of the time they had spent without studying, but they soon proved to be dedicated and bright students. One day, while Michael showed Emily how to fix a broken chair, Robert had an idea. "Michael, how about we set up a carpentry workshop here on the farm?" "A real workshop, Mr. Robert?" "A real one. You have a real talent for it. We could teach other kids too." The idea excited Michael immediately. He started drawing plans for the workshop, showing impressive organizational skills for his age. "Mr. Robert, can I teach the other kids what Grandpa taught me?" "Of course you can. It'll be a way to honor him." The carpentry workshop became a success. Children from the area came to learn from Michael, who turned out to have not just a talent for woodworking, but also a natural gift for teaching. Robert watched with pride as Michael grew. The boy who had arrived skinny and desperate at his door was now a confident young man respected in the community. Emily also flourished in that environment. Her creativity and intelligence caught the attention of all her teachers. She always had innovative ideas for school projects and helped other children who were struggling. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. 3 years had passed since Michael had knocked on Robert's door asking for work in exchange for food. Now at 10 years old, he was known throughout the region as a talented and responsible young carpenter. Emily, at 8, excelled in school and had become one of the top students in her class. Her sweet yet determined personality won everyone over. Robert had officially become the legal guardian of both children, a process that, though bureaucratic, was made easier by the support of the entire local community. The farm was thriving like never before. The carpentry workshop had expanded and now produced furniture sold in neighboring towns. Michael, despite his young age, had already begun signing some of his pieces with a small mark he'd developed. One day, Mrs. Margaret approached Robert with a worried expression. "Mr. Robert, I need to tell you something." "What is it, Mrs. Margaret?" "Yesterday, I was organizing old papers in the attic and found some letters from your grandfather. You need to read these." The letters revealed surprising details about the partnership between William Johnson and George Wilson. Apparently, the version Robert knew wasn't the whole story. According to the letters, William Johnson had indeed taken money from the partnership, but not out of greed. He'd been trying to save both families from a greater financial crisis caused by a prolonged drought. William's plan was to use the money to invest in a new drought-resistant crop that would save not just the two farms but the entire region. Unfortunately, he'd fallen seriously ill before he could explain his plan to George. When William passed away suddenly, George believed his friend had betrayed him. The truth was never revealed, and the two families parted ways amid resentment and misunderstanding. Robert was shocked by the discovery. His grandfather wasn't the villain he'd imagined, but he wasn't entirely innocent either. He'd made a unilateral decision that, however well-intentioned, had destroyed a friendship and caused unnecessary pain. He decided to share this discovery with Michael and Emily. It was important they knew the full truth about their families. "Michael, Emily, I've learned some things about our grandfather's history that you should know." Robert told them about the letters, explaining how the rift between the families had been based on a tragic misunderstanding. "So, our great-grandfather and your grandfather were really friends?" Michael asked. "They were, and I believe they would have remained so if they'd had time to talk and clear things up." "It's just like what's happening with us," Emily observed with her childlike wisdom. "We became family even though we're not blood relatives." Emily's words touched Robert deeply. Truly, he'd found a happiness in the company of these two children that he'd never experienced before. That evening, Robert made an important decision. He called Michael and Emily for a serious talk. "Kids, you know I don't have children of my own, right?" "We know, Mr. Robert," Michael replied. "And you also know I love you as if you were my own?" Emily ran to hug him. "We love you too, Mr. Robert. You're like a father to us." "Then I'd like to make an official proposal. Would you like me to legally adopt you, so you could officially become my children?" The silence that followed was heavy with emotion. Michael and Emily exchanged glances, tears in their eyes. "We can really become your real children?" Michael asked, his voice trembling. "You can, if that's what you want." "It's what we want most in the world," Emily exclaimed, jumping for joy. The adoption process took a few months but was completed without complications. The entire community supported the decision, recognizing the genuine love that bound the family together. On the day of the final hearing, when the judge finalized the adoption, Michael and Emily could finally call Robert their father legally. "Dad," Michael said for the first time officially, "thank you so much for giving us a family again." "Thank you for giving me a reason to live," Robert replied, moved. Robert's transformation was remarkable. The man once known for his toughness in business had become kind and generous. His property became a regional reference point for families in need. The carpentry workshop grew so much that Robert decided to create a social program, teaching the trade to at-risk youth. Michael, now a teenager, became the program's lead instructor, always remembering his grandfather's lessons about dignity in work. Emily developed a passion for education and began tutoring children in the community who struggled in school. Her patience and creativity made her a natural teacher. The fence Michael had repaired years earlier became a symbol on the property. Robert never allowed it to be replaced, keeping it well maintained as a reminder of the day his life changed forever. Neighbors and friends often remarked on the transformation of the Johnson-Wilson family as they came to be known. The story of how a desperate plea for work turned into a united family became legendary in the region. During the afternoons, it was common to see Robert teaching Michael advanced woodworking techniques while Emily played in the yard with other neighborhood children. The once quiet, empty house was now always filled with laughter and conversation. Mrs. Margaret, who had witnessed the entire transformation, often told her friends how the children's arrival had rejuvenated her employer. "I've never seen Mr. Robert so happy," she'd say. "Those children were the blessing he needed." One afternoon, while organizing photos for a family album, Emily found an old picture among the belongings saved from her grandfather's house. "Dad, look at this photo. I think it's our great-grandfather with someone." Robert examined the faded photograph. It showed two young men smiling, arms around each other's shoulders. On the back was written, "George and William, friends forever, 1958. "My God, it's our grandfathers when they were young," Robert murmured, moved. "They look so happy together," Michael observed. "They really do. It's a shame their friendship ended the way it did." Emily had an idea. "Dad, What if we held a ceremony to honor them, to show that the family's friendship has been restored? Emily's suggestion was met with enthusiasm. Robert organized a simple but meaningful celebration at the farm, inviting the whole community. During the ceremony, he planted 2 trees side by side in the yard, one in honor of each grandfather. Michael and Emily helped, each placing soil around one of the saplings. "These trees will grow together," Robert said in his short speech, "as a symbol that our family will always remain united no matter what." The community was touched by the gesture. Many remarked on how beautiful it was to see a story of conflict turn into one of love and reconciliation. Months later, the saplings began to sprout, their green leaves bringing even more life to the farm's already cheerful yard. Michael, now 12, had grown into a responsible and respected young man. His carpentry skills were admired even by seasoned artisans in the area. Emily, at 10, excelled not only in her studies but also as a leader among children her age. She organized games, mediated conflicts, and always included the shyest children in activities. Robert watched his children's development with growing pride. They had become exactly the kind of people he hoped for: hard-working, honest, generous, and united. During a family dinner, Michael made a statement that deeply moved Robert. "Dad, when I grow up, I want to keep the workshop going and expand it even more. I want our brand to become known all across the United States. And I want to be a teacher," added Emily. "I want to teach underprivileged kids like we used to be." "You both fill me with pride," said Robert, his voice choked with emotion. "I know you'll achieve all your dreams." "And we'll do it together," declared Michael. "Our family will never be apart again." The children's promise echoed through the dining room, sealing a commitment everyone knew was true and lasting. Years later, when Michael was already a 15-year-old and Emily was 13, the carpentry workshop had grown into a small business. They produced custom furniture sold in several towns across Pennsylvania. Emily had created a tutoring program where she helped children struggling in school. Her dedication was so remarkable that the city council officially recognized her volunteer work. Robert, now in his 50s, felt his life was complete. The loneliness that had consumed him for decades had been replaced by a constant joy radiating from his children's presence. During a family meeting, they discussed plans for the future. "Dad, I've been thinking about something," said Michael. "What if we started a foundation to help other orphaned kids?" "A foundation?" "Yes. We could use part of the workshop's income to help children going through what we went through." Emily brightened at the idea. "We could offer temporary shelter, education, and vocational training." Robert was impressed by his children's maturity and generosity. "It's a wonderful idea, but it would be a huge project." "It doesn't have to be big at first," Michael argued. "We can start small and grow little by little." "Just like you two started here," added Emily with a smile. The comparison touched Robert deeply. Truly, everything had begun simply, with a boy asking for work in exchange for food. "Let's look into this possibility," Robert promised. "If you're committed to it, I fully support you." The foundation project became the family's focus over the following months. They researched, planned, and consulted with lawyers and social workers. The first child taken in by the foundation was a 9-year-old boy named Joshua, whose situation was very similar to what Michael and Emily had experienced. Michael took Joshua under his wing, teaching him basic carpentry skills and, more importantly, showing him it was possible to overcome life's hardships. Emily took charge of helping Joshua with his studies and making him feel like part of the family. "It's strange being on the other side of things," Michael remarked one evening. "Now I'm the one helping someone like Dad helped us." "And you're doing an amazing job," Robert replied. "I'm so proud to see the generous, responsible young man you've become." Joshua adapted quickly to his new life. His gratitude and dedication constantly reminded the Johnson-Wilson family of their own journey. Soon, more children were welcomed into the foundation. The farm, which once housed only a lonely Robert, now buzzed with the energy of happy, hopeful children. Mrs. Margaret, now over 70, remained the mother figure to everyone on the farm. Her kitchen was never empty, always preparing meals for the ever-growing family. "Mr. Robert," she said one morning, I never imagined this house would become like this, so full of life and joy. Neither did I, Mrs. Margaret. Sometimes I think all of this is just a dream. It's no dream. It's the result of doing the right thing at the right time. Robert reflected on the faithful housekeeper's words. Truly, everything had begun when he decided to give a chance to a desperate boy who knocked on his door. The fence Michael had repaired years ago still stood there, now surrounded by the trees that had grown and other fixes made by the children from the foundation. Every new child who arrived helped maintain and improve some part of the property. One special afternoon, Robert gathered the whole extended family in the backyard for an important talk. "Kids, you know you've all completely changed my life," he began, "but there's something I've never told anyone." Everyone listened intently, curious. "Before Michael came here, I was going through a very hard time. I was thinking about selling the farm and moving to the city." Michael and Emily exchanged surprised glances. "Why, Dad?" Emily asked. "Because I felt so alone. This big house, all this land, and I had no one to share it with. I didn't see the point in going on." "What changed?" Joshua asked. "The day Michael showed up asking for work, I realized my life had a purpose I hadn't known yet. You all saved me just as much as I saved you." The children were moved by his words. Many of them came forward to hug Robert, forming one big group embrace in the yard. "Dad," Michael said, "you've always taught us that you reap what you sow. You planted kindness, and now you're harvesting a huge family." "And we planted gratitude and reaped a wonderful father," Emily added. That afternoon became one of the most special in the Johnson-Wilson family's history. It was the moment they all fully understood how deeply their lives were connected. As the years passed, the foundation grew and gained national recognition. Michael, now an 18-year-old young man, had become a respected entrepreneur, but never forgot his humble beginnings. Emily, at 16, was already giving talks on education and social inclusion at universities. Her personal story inspired many to get involved in social work. Robert, watching his children flourish, felt profound satisfaction. They hadn't just overcome their own hardships, they had become agents of change in others' lives. During a graduation ceremony for the Foundation's youth, Michael gave a speech that perfectly captured the family's philosophy. "Every one of us here knows what it's like to struggle, to feel afraid, to lose hope. But we've also learned that those experiences, as painful as they are, can make us stronger and more compassionate. What my father taught us, and what we now pass on to you, is that it doesn't matter where you come from or what hardships you've faced. What matters is what you choose to do with your life from here on. Always remember, you have the power to change your own story and help others change theirs too." Michael's speech was met with an emotional ovation. Many of the young people present had arrived at the foundation in desperate situations and were now graduating, ready to start their own careers. Emily added to her brother's words, "And don't forget, family isn't just about sharing the same blood. Family is who chooses to stand by you, who believes in you when you don't believe in yourself, who celebrates your victories and helps you through your losses. You'll always have a family here. This will always be your home." After the ceremony, Robert stepped away for a moment of quiet reflection. He thought about the entire journey that had begun with a skinny boy asking for work in exchange for food. Mrs. Margaret approached as she always did when she noticed her boss was deep in thought. "What are you thinking about, Mr. Robert?" "I'm thinking about how mysterious life is, Mrs. Margaret. If someone had told me 15 years ago that I'd have a family with over 20 children, I wouldn't have believed it. Life has its surprises indeed. The important thing is that you knew how to seize the opportunity when it came." "That's true. And it all started with Michael fixing a fence." They looked at the original fence, now surrounded by a well-tended garden. It was kept as a memorial to the family's history, but also as a symbol that small gestures can have enormous consequences. "Mrs. Margaret, sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I had sent Michael away that day." "No use dwelling on that, Mr. Robert. You made the right choice. And just look at the result." They watched the backyard full of young people celebrating, talking, making plans for the future. It was a sight that filled their hearts with joy and hope. Later that evening, during the family dinner, Joshua, who was now 14 and one of the oldest children in the foundation, asked a question that surprised everyone. "Dad Robert, have you ever regretted helping us?" The question brought a momentary silence to the table. All the children looked at Robert, waiting for his answer. "Joshua, that's a very important question, and I'll answer with complete honesty." He paused, looking at each child around the table. "Never, not for a single moment, have I regretted helping you. On the contrary, helping you was the best decision I ever made in my life." "Even when we caused trouble?" asked one of the younger girls, teasing. "Especially when you caused trouble," Robert replied, laughing. "Because that's how I know you feel at home, safe enough to be yourselves." Michael smiled as he heard his father's answer. "Dad, can I tell them the story of how you found me?" "Of course, Michael. In fact, I think all the children should know that story." Michael recounted in detail the day he showed up at the farm asking for work in exchange for food. He spoke about his hunger, his desperation, but also about his determination to work honestly. "And do you know the first thing Dad Robert said to me?" Michael asked. The children shook their heads, curious. "He said, 'If you break anything, you leave with nothing.' I was so scared of making a mistake that I worked as carefully as I could." "And it worked," Emily added, "because Michael always puts so much care into everything he does." "That's what I want you all to understand," Robert said. "No matter the task, big or small, always do it with dedication and honesty. That's the foundation of everything." The children absorbed the lesson, many of them recalling their own experiences working on the farm. As the night wore on, the younger children went off to bed. Michael, Emily, and Joshua stayed on the porch with Robert, enjoying the cool night breeze. "Dad," Emily said, "sometimes I imagine what our lives would have been like if you hadn't helped us." "I don't like to think about that," Robert replied. "I'd rather focus on the present and the future." "But it's important to remember where we came from," Michael argued. "So we never forget to help those going through what we went through." Joshua, who had grown wise beyond his years, made a profound observation. "You know what amazes me most about this family? Everyone here has suffered a lot, but no one uses that suffering as an excuse to be unkind to others. On the contrary," Emily added, "our suffering made us more sensitive to the suffering of others." Robert felt proud of his children's wisdom. They had truly learned life's most important lessons. "You've understood something very valuable," he said. "Suffering can either destroy a person or make them stronger and more compassionate. The choice is always ours." That night, as the farm slept peacefully, Robert lay awake thinking about the future. Michael had already expressed interest in expanding the family business to other states. Emily wanted to study education at university to become an even more qualified teacher. The foundation kept growing, with requests for help coming from all over the country. It was clear their work had transcended the boundaries of the property and become something much bigger. Robert knew that, in time, Michael and Emily would fully take over leadership of the project. They had shown not just technical competence, but also the emotional maturity needed to handle the responsibilities. The next morning at breakfast, Michael announced an important decision. "Dad, Emily and I have been talking and we want to propose something." "What is it?" "We want to write a book telling our story, from when you found me up to today." Emily added, "We think our story could inspire others to help children in need." Robert was surprised by the idea. "Do you really think people would be interested in our story?" "I'm sure they would," Michael replied. "How many people must be going through the same loneliness you once felt? And how many children are in the situation we were in? And if our story inspires even one person to make a difference in a child's life, it'll have been worth it," Emily added. Robert thought about their proposal. Sharing their experience really could encourage others to get involved in social work. "If you think it might help someone, then let's do it." The book project became a family effort. All the children from the foundation contributed their own stories, creating a rich mosaic of overcoming hardships. During the interviews for the book, many emotional memories surfaced. Robert recalled his feelings on that first day when Michael appeared at his door. "I remember exactly what I thought when I saw you," he told Michael. "I thought, this boy is too young to be asking for work. But there was something in your eyes that told me you were serious. "And I remember being terrified you'd send me away," Michael replied. "But I also had this strange feeling my life was about to change that day." Emily shared her memories of her time with the Taylor family. "What stuck with me wasn't even the hard work they made me do. It was the lack of affection. No one hugged me. No one asked how I was. When I got here and saw how you all treated each other with love, I knew I'd found my real family." The other children's stories were just as touching. Joshua talked about his first days on the farm. "I couldn't believe people could be so kind without wanting anything in return. I kept waiting for someone to tell me what the catch was, but there was no catch, just real love." The process of writing the book strengthened their family bonds even more. Remembering the journey they'd taken together made them appreciate what they'd built all the more. When the book was finally published, the response was greater than they'd expected. Stories from people inspired by their account began pouring in from all over the United States. One especially moving letter came from a widow in New York who, after reading the book, decided to adopt 2 orphaned sisters. "After reading the Johnson-Wilson family's story, I realized my empty house could become a home full of love again. Thank you for showing me it's never too late to start a family." Another letter came from a businessman in Texas who had created a vocational workshop for underprivileged youth in his town. "Michael's story inspired me to teach carpentry to street kids. We've already trained over 50 young people who now have a respectable trade. It all began after I read about you." The letters kept coming, each one sharing how the family's story had inspired acts of kindness and generosity. Robert was moved reading every account. He'd never imagined his decision to help Michael could have such a far-reaching impact. "You were right about writing the book," he told Michael and Emily. "It's truly inspiring people to make a difference. And the best part is that every inspired person will inspire others," Emily noted. "It's like planting seeds that grow into new trees." The seed metaphor was perfect. What had started as a small act of kindness had multiplied exponentially, touching lives across the country. During an interview for a national television program, the host asked Robert what the secret to the foundation's success was. "It's no secret," Robert replied. "It's simply treating every child the way you'd want your own children to be treated, with love, respect, and opportunities to grow." Michael added, "And never forgetting where we came from. That keeps us humble and grateful for all we have." Emily chimed in, "The most important thing is showing these children they matter, that they're capable of great things, no matter their background." The interview was seen by millions and sparked even more interest in the foundation. Donations poured in from across the country, allowing them to expand their programs significantly. With the extra resources, they built new workshops, hired specialized instructors, and offered scholarships so the foundation's youth could attend college. Michael graduated with a degree in business administration and officially took over managing the foundation. Emily earned a degree in education and developed an innovative teaching program adopted by several public schools in the region. Robert, now 60, stepped back from day-to-day involvement, but remained an advisor and mentor for all projects. During an annual planning meeting, Michael shared impressive numbers. "In the last 5 years, our foundation has helped over 200 children. Of those, 150 have graduated and are either working or continuing their studies." Emily added, "And most importantly, only 3 children return to vulnerable situations. That means our success rate is over 98%. Robert was overwhelmed by the numbers, but more important than statistics were the individual stories of transformation he witnessed daily. Joshua, now 17, had become one of the foundation's most skilled carpentry instructors. His personal journey helped him connect with the most rebellious or distrustful kids. "You know," Joshua said during a team meeting, "sometimes I think I'm the one who gained the most from being helped by you all, because now I get to give back, to make a difference in other kids' lives." "That's the beauty of what we do," Robert replied. "Everyone wins, those who help and those who are helped." The virtuous cycle created by the Johnson-Wilson family had become self-sustaining. Former students returned as volunteers, donors, or staff, perpetuating the legacy of solidarity. One special afternoon, Robert was walking across the property when he spotted a scene that filled him with emotion. Michael teaching a group of new kids how to repair a fence, just as he himself had done years before. Remember, Michael was telling the children, every nail you hammer in must be done with care and attention. We're not just fixing a fence, we're building our self-esteem and our future. One of the children, an 8-year-old boy who had recently arrived at the foundation, asked, "Uncle Michael, why do we have to do this? Don't we have any carpenters here?" Michael smiled, remembering himself years ago. "We do, little one. But when you do it with your own hands, you learn that you're capable of fixing broken things. And if you can fix a fence, you can fix many other things in life." Robert watched the scene from afar, his heart overflowing with pride. Michael had perfectly internalized the lessons he himself had learned from his grandfather. That evening, during dinner, Robert made a special announcement. "Family, I want to share a decision I've made with all of you." Everyone stopped eating and paid attention. "I've decided to officially divide all my properties among you. The foundation will be the collective property of all the children who have passed through here." Michael and Emily exchanged glances, surprised. "Dad, you don't have to do this," Michael said. "I do. You've turned this property into something far greater than I could ever have imagined alone. It's only fair that it belongs to you." Emily had tears in her eyes. "Dad, how can we ever repay you for everything you've done for us?" "You already have, my dear. You've given me a family, a purpose, a joy I never knew before." Joshua, speaking for the other children, stood up. "Dad Robert, on behalf of all of us, we want to say that you'll always be our father, no matter what happens with roles or property. What you've given us can't be measured in material things." Dinner turned into a spontaneous celebration. Each child took turns expressing their gratitude and love for Robert. Later, when everyone had gone to bed, Robert, Michael, and Emily stayed on the porch talking. "Dad," Michael said, "do you have any regrets in life?" Robert thought for a moment. "My only regret is not starting this sooner. Imagine how many more children we could have helped if I'd had the courage to open my home earlier." "But maybe you weren't ready before," Emily observed. "Maybe you needed to go through all that loneliness to truly value the family we've built." "Emily's right," Michael agreed. "Everything happened at the right time. If it had been sooner, you might not have given each of us the same attention and care." Robert reflected on his children's words. Maybe his journey through loneliness had been necessary for him to fully appreciate the value of family. "You're both very wise," he said. "Sometimes I think I learn more from you than I teach." "That's how it should be in a real family," Emily replied. "Everyone teaches and learns at the same time." That night, as the farm slept peacefully, Robert took one last walk through the yard. He stopped in front of the original fence, now bathed in the soft glow of starlight. He touched the wooden planks Michael had repaired so many years ago, still sturdy, standing strong against time and weather. "Thank you," he murmured, unsure whether he was thanking Michael, fate, or something greater that had orchestrated this whole transformation. A gentle breeze rustled the leaves of the 2 trees planted in honor of their grandfathers. Robert smiled, feeling as if they approved of everything that had happened. He returned home with a peaceful heart, knowing he had built something that would last forever. Not just a family, but a legacy of love, hard work, and solidarity to be passed down for generations. In his room before bed, he took one last look out the window. The farm stretched before him, full of life, purpose, and hope. This was exactly how it was always meant to be. The end of the story. And you? What did you think of this story of transformation and family love? Can you imagine how a simple job request can change lives forever? Let us know in the comments which part moved you the most, and if you've ever witnessed or lived through a similar story of overcoming. Your experience might inspire other readers. Don't forget to leave your like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss other heartwarming stories like this one.